Full range of motion push-ups to maximize muscle building results. That is what I'm going to be talking about today. Now I'm sure that due to being in lockdown and gyms being closed, you have done a hell of a lot of push-ups, but have you been doing them properly? And have you been doing them to make sure that you're giving yourself the best chance to actually build muscle? Now, those of you that have been following me for a while will know that I don't actually do barbell bench press all that often. It's people think that it is the best way to build your chest, but it actually isn't. So I tend to do my chest more with more fly movements and press-ups and push-ups and things like that. And I've seen a hell of a lot more development in my chest since doing that than before, when I was doing a lot more barbell stuff and things like that. So yeah, speaking from experience here, full range of motion is definitely what you need to do with your push-ups in order to get maximum muscle building results. Now, there's going to be some questions, why do you need to go full range? Can't you get injured if you lock out the exercise? All these sorts of things I'm going to cover in this video. But before I dive straight into it, what do we think to the new, hit my elbow. But what do we think to the new merch? New logo there on the stuff. So if you like it and you want some, then head over to my Instagram. I'll put a link on the screen here, and it's going to be in the description. Go over to my Instagram, say, "Oi, Tom, I like what you got there," and I'll get in touch, and might be able to hook you up if you're lucky. So yeah, anyway, enough of that, let's get into the video. Yeah. So I'm just gonna look at the standard push-up today, because if you can't master the standard push-up, then there is no point in looking at the other variations. Now, if you can't do a push-up, then this video probably isn't for you. I'm not gonna be looking at like beginner stuff here and push-ups that you've seen from off your knees, that sort of thing. I'm just gonna be looking at the standard push-up and how you can perfect it in order to make sure that you have the best chance of building your chest. Now, first question that's gonna come up is, why do you need to do push-ups to full range of motion? Well, with any exercise, you should be doing it to the full range of motion. And people that tell you that you shouldn't be doing, locking out your exercises are lying to you, and that is incorrect. There are a small number of people that shouldn't be locking out their exercises, and I'll explain who those people are at the end of the video, because it is important that you do know that. But for the vast majority of you, you should be locking out your exercises using the full range of motion, because you want to be making sure that all your muscle fibers are working. If you're doing half the reps, you're going to get half the results. You want to make sure that you are using the full range of motion, so you then get all the muscle fibers working, and you're going to improve on that movement. If you're just doing half the movement, you're only going to be working on that small portion of the movement. So if you want to get the full benefit, you have to do the full rep. I'm going to say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times, you need to do the full range of motion in all your exercises. So you may also be thinking that full range of motion is just going all the way down and all the way back up again. And it is. It is. Thanks for watching. See you later. No, I'm only joking. It is that, but there are a few things that you need to set up in order for you to have access to that full range of motion. If you don't position yourself correctly, then you're going to restrict your movement and therefore miss out on the full range of motion, and then miss out on the muscle building potential of the movement. So there are obviously a few things that you need to focus on in order to access the full range of motion, but the most important part is your hand placement. So let's first look at how wide you want to have your hands when you're doing the push-up. Now, if you go really wide, you're gonna miss out on the full range of motion quite significantly, because your chest, as you know, is responsible for bringing your arm or your upper arm across the front of your body here. So if you have your hands wider, there's only that small motion there that you're going to be able to do. So yes, you'll have a great stretch at the bottom of the exercise, but you're only going to come up a small way. It's going to be much easier to perform the exercise, so you're going to be able to do a lot more reps, but you're going to be missing out on that full range of motion. On the flip side, having your hands too close is going to give you the opposite. By the way, both versions, depending on where your hands, has different benefits, but for the full range of motion, too wide, you're going to miss out on the full rep at the top, and having them very close and narrow, you're going to bring a lot of triceps into it. And yes, you're going to get a great contraction at the top, because your upper arm is going to be coming right across the front of your body, but at the bottom of the movement, you're not going to open up that chest, and you're going to miss out on that full range of motion at the bottom of the movement there. So too wide is you're going to miss out at the top, and too low, you're gonna miss out at the bottom. So what you want is you want your hands to be exactly shoulder width apart. That's gonna allow for a good stretch at the top of the push-up and a good contraction at the bottom. So a great way to work out how to set it up properly is if you lie face down and you place your hands underneath your shoulders exactly, so your fingers should be directly under your shoulders at the bottom of the movement. That is then going to help for knowing exactly how wide you should be having your hand, and it's also going to help for how far forwards or backwards you should have your hands, which is the next point. So if you have your hands too far forward, so too far ahead of you, so nearer to your head, then it's going to put a lot of stress on your shoulder joint, and the chances are when you're trying to perform the rep, your elbows are going to flare outwards, and that is something we really want to avoid. You can impinge your shoulder and you will likely find uncomfortable and difficult to complete the rep. And it is so important to look after your shoulders, because once your shoulders are injured, to try and recover and repair them is very difficult. So make sure that you look after your shoulders and don't put your flare your elbows out. That is the last thing you want to do. That is going to cause pain and cause discomfort and probably cause injury. You also don't want to have your hands too far backwards, so too close to your hips, because that is going to put the emphasis more on your shoulders and take it away from your chest, because as you're leaning forward, your shoulders are going to have to take the strain. So you're going to miss out on the chest development, and you're also going to miss out on that full range of motion, because you're going to be leaning forward and therefore take it away from the ability to go up and down, should we say. So it isn't a bad way to do a push-up, because, and if you've got the flexibility in your wrists, then give it a go, but it isn't going to be the best for your for your chest, sorry. It's going to be more shoulders, even though it is still a good way to do the push-up. Now you've got the hand placement sorted, you're the majority of the way there to be able to perform the full range of motion push-up. But there's still a few more things to go through, and I still need to explain to you those exceptions that are the people that shouldn't be locking out the exercises. So if you're enjoying the video so far, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and I will continue. Now when you're actually doing the push-up, you want to go down as low as you possibly can. Now everybody is different, so there isn't necessarily a right or wrong depth that you should be able to go to, because you know your shoulder flexibility is going to be different from person to person. So don't try and force it and think that you have to go right down to the floor. If your shoulders don't allow it, then your shoulders don't allow it, and that is okay. Do not force it. You'll know when you've gone too far, because you will feel pain, and the pain should probably end up in the back of your shoulder there. But you'll know, it just won't feel right, so don't try and force it. Now going down to about a fist width off the floor, so if you were to place your fist on the floor and bring your chest down to it, that is plenty, that is fine. If you can get down to there, then that's great. If you can go further, even better. But as I say, everyone is different, so if your flexibility doesn't allow for you to go all the way down, then don't force it. The more you do, the easier it's going to become, the more flexible you'll become, and you'll be able to get lower and lower in time, but do not force it. The other thing as well, when you're going right down, as I mentioned earlier, flaring your shoulders, or flaring your elbows, sorry, is a no, and you should not be doing that. Do not let your elbows come out. Do the opposite. Make sure that your arms stay tight and close into your body for the whole of the rep, so you should feel your upper arm brushing against your lats as you're going up and down on the movement. If you're trying to focus on bringing your elbows out, you're going to cause yourself an injury, and you're missing out on all the muscle building potential. So make sure that you keep your arms tight, close into your body, and your elbows should be coming backwards rather than outwards as you're going up and down with the exercise. At the top of the push-up is where you see so many people missing out on the full range of motion, and therefore missing out on the muscle building potential of the push-up. Now, what you should be doing at the top of the movement is making sure that you fully contract the chest. So your arms should be locked out straight, and you should then be focusing on using your chest to bring your shoulders in and forward. So pushing the top of your back upwards and outwards is what you should feel. So concentrate on bringing that chest in, your shoulders bring in as much as you can, really squeeze the chest, and should be fully locked out. You see so many people trying to do really quick reps and do as many reps as they can, and therefore at the top they're just missing out on that final pinch, which is possibly the most important part of it. So really make sure that you focus on that contraction. You push your shoulders together, or bring your shoulders together using your chest, and therefore you should feel like your upper back and your traps almost like popping out the top of your back, and that will be the confirmation that you've contracted and you're at the maximum point of the movement. Now I guarantee doing it this way, you are going to be doing less reps, and that's okay. It's going to be harder, but doing loads of half reps and missing out on that last little bit of the movement is going to be nowhere near as good as doing less reps but really focusing on the contraction, slowing it down and making sure the form is good and you're doing the full range of motion. As you've been so good and made it this far, I will share with you the very few people that should not be locking out their exercises, should not be locking out their push-ups, and that is people who are hypermobile. And well, what is hypermobile to start off with? Hypermobile, or just means, that's a weird word to say, you know when you say something so many times and it just sounds odd? Hypermobile means that you can overextend your joints, or maybe it's not all your joints, maybe it's just certain joints. So how do you know if you're hypermobile in your elbow, which is going to be what will cause you to not want to lock out your push-ups, is if you hold your arm out straight, and rather than it being straight like my arm straight here, you'll see that some people, they can overextend and their forearm will sort of point downwards a little bit when it's fully extended. Those people are hypermobile and they should not lock out their push-ups because it's going to put a lot of stress on that joint when it's effectively bending the wrong way. So instead, you should go to the point where your arm is straight. Now it's probably going to feel like you're not fully locking out the exercise and you're probably half repping, but you should really make sure that you're focusing on just getting to a straight arm. Now if you don't know where that is, because as I say, it will feel possibly like you're missing out on the full rep, then either use a mirror or ask someone to watch you do the rep and then give you pointers, you know, to make sure that your arm is going to the point where it is straight and not fully extending, because then, you know, that could be quite a serious injury if you let yourself overextend too much. So those people should not lock out their push-ups, and you know, it's just going to cause an injury. So just be mindful of that and just do the quick test and go, if you fully extend, is your arm straight, yes or no? Most people it will be yes, so you shouldn't have to worry. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it's been useful, and you know, for those of you that still got your gyms in lockdown and you're not able to get there and do a workout, you're going to still be doing push-ups, I'm sure, so hopefully this is going to help you to access the full range of motion push-up and really get the muscle building results on your chest that you're looking for. So hit the like button if I've, you know, provided some useful content, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.